back to our course on the waste bank. Drawing from the experience of Indonesia, we can see that the waste banks are started by different social actors. They are initiated by the government, the community itself, foundations or NGOs, schools and universities, and the private sector. In this lesson, I will teach you a three-step process to start a waste bank. This approach would work well for foundations, NGOs, and governments. Step 1. Approach the community. Start by approaching the community and introducing people to the concept of sorting and recycling waste and the waste bank system. Explain the workflow of the waste bank and the money benefits that can be obtained from the community and individuals. Step 2. Technical training and initial setup. Once a collaborative agreement has been reached to start the waste bank system, you need to train the waste bank team to do their job. So set up a standardized waste bank training system and train the locals who will be running the waste bank. Trainers should also help set up the sorting division, depositing, data entry, accounting, and waste distribution. This training will be held in small groups on the household at the neighborhood level. You will also be setting the successful level, target, and profit sharing system for the waste bank. Determine the name, location, and operation time. At this stage, it's crucial to determine the schedule of waste deposit, waste classification, minimum weight of garbage that could be deposited, and when the depositor can make the withdrawal. Step 3. Implementing the waste bank system. With all the preparations done, you can open doors and start operating the waste bank. First, the management should have a registration book to report the depositor identified number and customer's information. Then management also has a cash book. It is a ledger that contains information on waste data, trust sales recapitulation, and trust sales values. The Lodge Central Waste Bank in Surabaya followed a similar process as civil society organization also initiated.
Kalau tujuannya dibentuknya bank sampah itu, jadi kita ingin warga Surabaya itu mereka aktif memilah sampah sejak dari rumah. Nah, kita pengen supaya sampah itu tidak bercampur, tidak menumpuk di TPA. Jadi dia terpilah bisa kembali ke daur ulang. Lalu yang kedua juga untuk meningkatkan ekonomi masyarakat sekitar. Itu tujuan dari kita menjalankan bank sampah di Surabaya.
In the case of the small community waste bank in Surabaya, it started as the initiative of the neighbors themselves.
Awal berdirinya Bank Sampah Bina Lingkungan itu November 2019. Melihat dari keberhasilan teman di kelurahan lain yang sudah lebih dahulu menjadi anggota di Bank Sampah Induk Surabaya. Jadi kami bersama beberapa pengurus itu ingin belajar awalnya bagaimana sih mengelola bank sampah itu gitu. Setelah lama kita belajar dan tahu hasilnya dari bank sampah tersebut, kami berniat untuk meneruskan untuk kegiatan bank sampah ini.
The small waste bank production of waste is not enough to attract the attention of commercial recyclers. So the big central waste bank in Surabaya buys a large amount of waste from numerous small waste banks, gathering quantities that are attractive to commercial recyclers.
Seringkali kalau dari misalnya fasilitator lingkungan yang ada di kelurahan-kelurahan itu, kalau supaya manajemen dari bank sampah unit itu mudah, mereka mensarankan untuk dijual ke bank sampah induk, karena ke bank sampah induk ini pengelolaannya lebih mudah ya. Kita ada penjemputan gratis, uang juga, perhitungan administrasi juga lebih mudah ya, tidak seperti itu. Dan manajemen di bank sampah unit yang kebanyakan berbasis swadaya masyarakat itu sangat terbantu, karena swadaya masyarakat kan biasanya tidak full time ya, dengan adanya kita bantu supaya lebih mudah, kita fasilitasi penjemputan, bahkan beberapa fasilitas packing itu juga kita fasilitasi. Itu.
Finally, in the case of the Nature School Waste Bank in Lampung, it was students' parents who initiated.
Ya. Seperti tadi yang saya jelaskan bahwa Bank Sampah Sekolah Alam Lampung dulu diinisiasi oleh orang tua murid gitu ya pada tahun 2008. Kemudian tentu tujuannya jelas bahwa kita ingin mengedukasi anak-anak, di samping juga untuk perputaran ekonomi di dalam sekolah, untuk pembelajaran menjadi tempat mereka belajar, tempat mereka magang, tempat mereka bisa berkreasi seperti itu.
Waste banks face many challenges, mainly their long-term sustainability, as some waste banks stop operation after only a few months. But many waste banks also survive these challenges, and with some awareness of these issues, you will be more prepared to overcome the obstacles. Financial sustainability is perhaps the #1 challenge. Waste banks sometimes go bankrupt due to inefficient management. Do not start without sufficient planning. Calculate investment, running costs, and estimate the selling and buying price of the waste. Consider how to secure sources of funding and human resources. Involve the private sector as a financial technical supporter if possible. Waste banks in remote areas often have difficulties accessing nearby value chains, and the regular transportation will cost a lot, which results in little profit. Waste banks need to find good access to the recycling value chain to sell their collected waste.
The challenges is to be sustainable. Waste bank is actually an socio-economical kind of entity. It has to be balanced between ecology, social setting, and also economy perspective.
Sebetulnya bank sampah itu memang bisa untuk menjadi pemasok yang menjanjikan bagi usaha seperti saya. Tapi dengan berbagai macam kendala, jadi yang sampai langsung ke saya cuma sekitar 20% aja. Ya itu tadi kendalanya, mereka tidak tahu cara memilahnya. Yang kedua, tempatnya. Karena kalau sedikit disetor ke saya atau saya suruh ngambil, tentu saja saya ya rugi dengan ongkos, dengan bensin, dengan waktu dan sebagainya. Saya batasi kalau saya mau ngambil itu 500 kilo. Tapi mereka dengan mengumpulkan 500 kilo, tempat mereka enggak ada.
Kita kan dengan umpamanya lokasi kami di sini, terus lokasi bank sampah dari kami umpamanya bisa berjarak 15-20 kilo. Kita kan ada kos biaya. Dari bank sampah itu sendiri, kalau kos biaya itu nggak nutup dengan bahan yang kita mau ambil atau kita jemput, itu hambatannya. Kami nggak bisa jemput. Sementara memang itu.
Kesulitan untuk menimbang sampah, kalau nasabahnya itu setor dengan tidak jujur. Jadi kita diberi itu dengan dia bilang bersih, ternyata di dalamnya itu masih banyak yang kotor seperti itu. Itu akan menyulitkan dan merugikan pengelola.
As a final chapter of this video lesson, I want to tell you about what we call the enabling policy environment. What does this mean? It means having a set of government policies and programs that support the development of waste banks. However, this enabling policy environment is lacking in most developing countries and need to be developed. Indonesia provides a unique example of a robust enabling policy environment. In Indonesia, the problem with solid waste polluting cities and waterways grew to such a degree that the government had to take some visible measures, especially after the 2001 waste crisis in Surabaya due to the closure of the landfill and then the 2005 collapse of a dump site onto villages of waste pickers. Since then, the government has enacted several laws and regulations to improve waste management. It also established waste banks as a standard procedure that must be used as much as possible to reduce solid waste. The government of Indonesia released Indonesian President Regulation Number 97/2017 detailing a roadmap towards the objective Indonesia Clean from Waste 2025. The target is a 30% reduction of waste production at the source and processing 70% to reduce its accumulation in landfills and its leakage to the environment. These targets are expected to be achieved by 2025. Regulation 97 is aligned with the national long and medium-term development plans. It also serves as a guideline in formulating regional policies and strategy at the provincial and the district level. To realize that mission, government, business sectors, and society in general must formulate working programs that are in line with and support Indonesia in becoming free of waste by 2025. The government's efforts include the development of waste banks and 3R collection points to increase the recycling and processing of waste before it is transported to the landfill. There are other important older policies and regulations that enable the development of waste banks in Indonesia.
Lalu yang permen LHK yang terbaru yang tentang ekonomi sirkular itu mengembalikan ekonomi sirkular itu saat ini sangat membantu karena mendorong para pelaku industri itu untuk mau menerima barang daur ulang, maksudnya barang dari limbah itu yang itu. Sejauh ini sih tidak ada hambatan kalau dari regulasi.
We have reached the end of this video lesson about how to start a waste bank. You learned that many stakeholders could initiate waste banks. You also learned the workflow to start the operation of waste banks. We taught you about the common challenges faced by waste banks and ideas to overcome these challenges. Now let's go to the following video, where you will learn about the future of waste banks with a case study of a fascinating digital waste bank in Bali, Indonesia.